Hello guys, so today we're back into HTML. So what are we going to talk about today? Well, it's HTML forms. So on a website, so much information is stored, right? But how does it get stored? By forms. So first of all, let's just get the automatic HTML done. Let's just rename this to be HTML forms. Okay, yeah. Now we won't be really talking about validation right now, but we're just gonna talk about the basic stuff. Anyway, so first of all, to start a form, you gotta use a form tag. Use the form tag. And now just put in a label. Label by using the label tag. Now let's just make a simple form that actually includes of processing a name and an age. Now name. And now the user has to type it in name, right? They got to type in their name. So you have to use an input tag to put in user input. Input. There. Now, you don't really put anything on the input though. Now, you don't have to use the type if it's just text, but you'll have to do it for other sort of forms. Anyway, so let's just start off with the baby simple, okay? Yeah, let's just do that first. Now just save this, and now let's go and just go to page.html. Okay, so we have this tiny form which does absolutely nothing because it doesn't really process anything. It does refresh the page, but does absolutely nothing because we didn't even process anything of this form. Now, so now that we did it, now let's just say that this is it, okay? Yeah. Now, yeah. But how can we process this form? Well, to process this form, we gotta process it in a different page. So now let's process it in a different page. Okay, yeah. Now let's just create a new page called action.html. Plain text. Okay, so for some reason it's not here. No, where is this? Wait just a second, guys. Okay, just wait just a second. Yeah. Okay, maybe I should just put in all files. Yeah. All files. Now wait just a second. Wait, guys. So now that we're back into our action.html. So now what do we do here? Well, actually, first of all, we gotta see that the action for this page, when we click enter, or when we process this input, we gotta tell HTML that we're trying to process it in a different page. Okay. So to do that, we gotta go to the form tag, and now inside it, we gotta put in this action label. And let's put in, and now we gotta put in the HTML page name that we're gonna process this information through. Action.html. Now if you see it, look at what will happen. Well, we didn't actually put in any code in this HTML page, so it doesn't do actually anything. So it just puts in a blank page. So now I'm just gonna copy and paste some code. I'll put this code in the chat box, okay? Yeah. In in the description below. So yeah, so put this here. Now secure, I'll save. Wait just a second. Okay, also, do not forget, you gotta put in an ID. No, not an ID. Okay, yeah. So nothing, yeah. So now secure, I'll save. Oopsie. Oopsie. No. For some reason this is not working, but it's supposed to. Okay, now the reason it's not working is actually because when you put in the input tag, you gotta put in like a name label. Because if you see in the action.html, it's gonna yeah. Well, so it's gonna like print out this name equal to value. But we don't have a name, so it doesn't know. So we gotta put in a name. Let's just put in name. Feature save, and then now if you refresh, ta-da! You have name. So yeah. So this is the first step of processing this input. Now really guys, this is actually a super basic one. Now, want to do some validation? Well, it's not JavaScript validation. It's just a simple HTML validation. Okay. Well, it just makes that you just have to put in something in these inputs, or else it will not submit. So what I mean is, even let's just go back. Even if you don't put anything, you can still submit. But or if you don't want that, well, there's a label you can do that in HTML. And to do that, all you have to do is go in the tag and put in required. And now, if you try to submit it without actually putting anything, look at this. It says, please fill out this field. Okay. Now, yeah. So we know that, right? Well, we can still submit it, right? But we have to press enter. But what if the user does not know to press enter? For real, the proper way to submit this form is by using the submit button. So let's make that. So also, we have to use a button. And now we got to refine the type of this. Type equals to submit because we're using this button to submit the form. Because really, if you know, let's just make this button submit. Ctrl save. Now, if we do not include this type, it doesn't know that this button is to submit. And now, if we say this without actually telling that it's a submit button, it won't do anything. Absolutely nothing. See that? It is absolutely nothing. Okay, now that's just crazy. Did it save it even? Okay, well, maybe it still works, but okay, it still works, but let's say you put in another button, it'll still do that. Maybe, yeah. So maybe it still works, but it's still proper to put in the type. Because what if you want the submit to do something else? Like reset the whole thing. Let's say, So now let's just say, you still got to put in the type. Because what if you want the button to do a different thing? Like maybe reset the whole thing. You got to use the reset keyword inside the parentheses, inside the quotes. Now, if we do it, it'll reset everything. Now, you must be thinking, why did we add the label if it's of no use? Well, it's not of no use, but it's not being helpful really that much right now. So I'll tell you how it will be helpful. Because really, when we're supposed to click it, the inputs that's supposed to match this label is supposed to have its cursor ready. So to do that, we have to go back into the input and use a keyword called for. And now we got to refine an ID for this ID for the input that we're trying to submit. ID equal to, let's say, maybe name. Okay, yeah. Let's just put in the ID as name just because it's name. Okay. Now we got to put this ID value into the for value name. Teacher will save. Now, ta-da! If you click on it, then this also becomes so if you click on it, then the input cursor is ready. And you can see this. Please fill out the field. Now, this is actually still very basic, but it's still good for a beginner. But anyway, now let's go one step ahead. Now, coming back to the action.html page, if you look here, then you can see this, right? And whenever you submit this form, whoopsie, I forgot to make it, let's just put it back to submit, okay? Okay, so if we submit this form, maybe this is not how we want it to be printed out. Maybe let's say instead of this colon here, you want it to be an equal sign. Well, how do we change that? It's actually very simple. Now, if you look here, when we see results list.append, this is how it's printing out, right? The dollar name and the dollar value. Well, forget about that. We need these, okay, to print out the values and the names. But what about this? This is the reason why it's printing out as a colon. But what if we don't want it to be a colon? We can just make it an equal sign. Now, if we save this, ta-da! It's an equal sign. Now, let's say maybe it's 90. Okay. 0, 0, 0. Okay. Now let's say that. Maybe 0, 0, D. Okay. Well, let's just put it back here into this position. Oopsie. Okay, so it's back into that way, right? Well, we can still put in something. How can we do that? That's easy. Instead, you put in maybe, let's say, for real, let's just say information. Okay, now let's say this. Information, name equal to D. Okay? Now, what happens if we put it somewhere else? Let's say maybe, let's say we put in this here. Results list dot append. And then we put in maybe information. Well, we didn't put a new line. So anyway, so we can just add in an information here. Because if you look here, we are putting this results in this div. So let's just put in information. Ta-da! See how simple it is? Yep. Now, actually, this is still just a beginner's thing. Because really, if you know, there's a lot more. But anyway, now let's just put in, now let's see, another sort of input type. So as I told you, we're also going to put an age in this form, right? Well, we should do that. And of course we can use that, Now let's just put in another label. And let's just close it. Age. And we're going to put in this ID as age also. For age. Now, let's just put in an input. And name equal to age. Okay? And ID equal to age. With the capital A, because that's how we put it here. Now, You see, like, an age should only be written in numbers, right? Well, since this is an input form and we didn't exactly like put in the type, it can be anything. Anything, okay? So that's the problem. Now, so let's add a type here, which means that it can only be number. Oopsie. So one of the type is number. So if we put in this number type here, now if you see it, now actually, first of all, let's just remove this. Now, if you see it here, we can type in anything, right? Boom, 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 boom. But now, if we submit it, we can, whoopsie. Okay, now if we submit it, we still get it, right? But what if we like want it to be only numbers so that it can be valid age? Now, to do that, you gotta put in a type of number. Now, if you do this, even if you type, you can't. It doesn't allow you to type in letter, and they give you this. They give you this arrows because it will be number. Now we can also put in a min and max one. So let's add that quickly. The min equal to 1, and the max equal to 100. See that? Now you can put it down. And even if you do put -1, wait, just a second. Value must be greater than or equal to 1. Now if you put in 99,000, it must be greater, the value must be less than or equal to 100. So 100. Now only it submits it. Told ya. There's a lot more. So that's only one of the input types though. So let's discover some more input types. Now, forget about the name and age. Let's put in maybe an email type, maybe. So to do that, all you have to do is just put in a label, of course. Let's just put in email without cap lock. See, email without a capital E. Label. Email. Oopsie. Now, wait, just a second. Now, so it's in those colons. Now, let's just put in an input. Now, yeah. Okay, now, let's just say, like, this bumpers. Now, if we try to, like, put in this email, it'll submit anything, right? Well, this isn't exactly like, meant to be. Oopsie, I forgot to add in a name. Name equal to email. There. Now, let's see, DDD. Now, if we add in like, just blah, 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 it won't submit it. Wait, what? Okay. Oh, yeah, that's because we don't submit it even though it's supposed to be an email because we didn't put in a type email. Now, trust me, this will not be the best email address ever, but at least it's better than nothing. So now, to do this, we got to put in the type equal to email. Now, if you submit it like this, just boom. It says please include an A in the email address. Now, it's not the best validation email because if you submit it like this, it still submits it. You just have to have an E somewhere in the middle. Okay, so those are the basic like form type. So I'm gonna end this video right here, and in the next video we're gonna be talking about the form types. So bye bye guys, see you next time.